Good afternoon, everyone. We have a couple of new people on the committee, so I thought it might be a good idea if everyone could just say hello, so that the new people can introduce themselves to the committee, and then the committee can introduce themselves to the new members. Chief Lyons, would you mind starting?
Chief Scott Lyons, new police chief, got sworn in a couple weeks now, and glad to be here and meet everybody.
Councilwoman Lawson.
Yeah, hi, I'm Allison Lawson. I'm the newest council member for Ward 3. Happy to be here, thanks.
Caroline.
I'm Carolyn Allen, and I'm one of the citizens on the committee, and I'm beginning my 4th year here. I've been on the committee now for 3 years.
Martha
Frazier. This is my 3rd year for the committee, so I'll either be renewed for next year or dropped. I'm not sure which will happen. Welcome to the new members.
Jane.
Hi, I'm Jane Hull. I am also a citizen member, and I don't know, I guess it's been 3 years. It doesn't seem like it, but I know I'm renewed now.
Chief Sapp.
John Sapp, our chief, but I think that's all I have.
Mark.
Mark Graves, been on since the beginning as well. I represent Local 42 in the fire department.
Dan.
Hi, my name is Dan Heisman. I'm a business agent with Local 42, and I believe I'm still an alternate member of the committee. Welcome to the new people.
And Alexa.
Hello, everybody. I'm Alexa Barton. I'm the city manager for Belton. It's great to see everybody again.
And I am Sheila. I'm the assistant city manager, finance director. I get to talk a lot during this meeting because I can answer your questions, hopefully, that you have about the numbers. And it's good to see you all. And if we could just get started with a little overview Alexa's going to share her screen. On page 2 of the packet, this is simply an overview of the entire fiscal year ended March 31st, 2021, of the activity that happened in the Public Safety Sales Tax Fund. You can see that we received $2.2 million of sales tax revenue. That was all generated from the half-cent sales tax. There was a little bit of interest income in the amount of $227. And then we started the year with a carryover of $984,000. And then the amounts that were spent during the year for wages and benefits entirely for fire positions were $355,513. There was almost $25,000 spent on paramedic training and also police academy training for our employees. And then the rest of the funds were spent on capital items. The fire station got computer servers and workstations, physio control units, duty coats and bunker gear for new hires, then iPads, and then we spent money on an ambulance remount and a fire prevention vehicle. And then the police spent money on computer equipment, mobile data terminals, and patrol cars. There was money budgeted in last year's budget that has been ordered or accounted for that will be carrying over and encumbering. So even though there's two $2.3 million at the end of the year. That's being carried over. Part of that is spoken for already. So the actual available cash that we're carrying over is about $2.1 million. And I don't know if any of you have any questions, but if you do, please speak up. I can't see any of the people. I am on an iPad. So because Alexa's sharing her screen, I can only see Alexa and her screen share. So I don't know if you're on a laptop, if you can see everyone, but if so, if anybody had a question, if you could call on them.
Okay. I'm not seeing anybody that has any questions, Sheila. So if you want, we could, oh, Martha does. I see her waving her hand.
Sheila, on this page 2, under fire and police, it shows the numbers that was spent on various items.
Yes.
Is this including some of the early numbers in like April and
Yes.
It is, it's including everything.
It includes the entire year.
Okay,
Yes.
because I was having problems with seeing a lot of this stuff that especially fire departments spent early in the year on these items. Maybe they're just included under topics.
All of that, all of the backup detail for the first part of the year was in the previous packet. So the detail in this packet is only for the last 6 months of the year.
Right, I understand that part.
But this top report that's on pages 2 and 3 and 4, actually, these are the pages 2 and 3 are kind of the combination of what happened in the fund. And then pages 4 detail out very clearly how much was allocated to police and how much was allocated to fire, and then how much was spent by each agency, if that makes sense.
It does, but if you go to page 13.
Page 13.
And you see under what fire and police spent down at the bottom.
Yes.
I'm not seeing this 34,1994 and a few of these numbers down, you know, for fire included on this page 2, and maybe it's just because they've been combined with something else.
Yes, I'm gonna mute so that I can use my 10 key and not hurt everybody's ears. But let me do a little test really quick. So I'm gonna mute while I use my 10 key. Okay, so what I tried to do was I tried to add up all of the fire non-payroll transfers to the general fund in this column. And I don't know if I made a mistake or not, because what I tried to do didn't add up. But I tried to add those up because those non-payroll transfers, oh wait, maybe I'm off by the training. 21971 88 minus 254. Okay, so it does work. So the bottom
Okay.
numbers don't.
Go ahead.
If I add all of those numbers on page 13 under the fire non-payroll transfers to the general fund, if I total them up, they total $254,117.05. And that correlates to page 4. If you take the total of the training and all of the fire equipment and vehicles, those total up to $254,117.05.
Okay.
So they don't include that. Those numbers on page 13 at the bottom don't include the payroll. They just include everything else, if that makes sense.
Okay. Thank you for explaining it.
Yes. And we'll try to do a better job. Your questions are so good because they help us change the report a little bit for the next time, so that we can make it as clear as possible so that you don't have any questions. So I appreciate your questions.
I think the problem is you're looking at it from the numbers point and we're looking at it from citizens, and it gets a little confusing on our end.
I understand. That's why I really love it when you guys ask questions. Anything that we can do to clarify and make it easier for citizens to understand is exactly what we want to do.
Okay, thank you.
Dan,
You're
did I see
welcome.
you had your hand up?
Yeah, I've got a few things. If we go back to page 2 and 4, the first one is more of a conceptual thing. I see we're buying bunker gear and duty coats and all kinds of other stuff out of the fire portion of the public safety sales tax that used to be carried by the general fund. So first off, if you could comment on why we're doing it that way, because it's kind of eating in. It's relieving the general fund in a way that I don't think this was set up for. I wouldn't consider that like major equipment purchases or the payroll that's been set aside for that. So that's one thing. And then the second thing, and I'm assuming I know the answer to this one, but I could be wrong. On page 4, the police wages and benefits over the 2019 base, there's no number. Is that because they're short staffing, or because I know they haven't taken any pay cuts? So if you could enlighten as to why they're still at their fiscal year 19 base or below. And if it's because they're short staffed, then what can we do to help fix that problem and get those positions filled?
Okay, for as far as the bunker gear and duty coats, I can just tell you that's how the council adopted the budget last year. And I don't believe that in the new budget there were any all the bunker gear and duty coats will be paid out of the general fund, and nothing will be paid out of the public safety sales tax fund. Well, we have a budget to go over later, and let me just make sure that's correct. That's correct. So there won't be there are no bunker gear or duty coats budgeted out of public safety sales tax funds for this current year that we're in now. But for last year, there were some. There were some. And I don't know exactly, I don't remember what the rationale was, but I can definitely look into that and find out for you. And then as far as the police, you're exactly right. That public safety sales tax is supposed to pay for the new positions that were added for police and the positions that were had been frozen. And we have had a really tough time in recruiting and filling those positions. We have been hiring, well, and Chief Lyons, I am so sorry I can talk a little bit about it, but you might know more than I know about how many positions we still have vacant left to fill. But I do know that we've been doing a lot of recruiting, and we are paying people to go through the academy. So we've been hiring people, bringing them on as dispatchers or in the jail, putting them through the academy, and then they have been transferring in as an officer. So we're doing everything that we can to try to fill those positions. We just don't have a lot of recruitment options. There's not a lot of people that are seeking out to become police officers right now.
That's understandable. I think that's going on a lot of places. Okay. That's kind of what I figured. I just wanted to make sure that our cops weren't getting beat up on the payroll or something.
No.
All right.
Are there any other questions? I'm not seeing any more. So Sheila, you want to go forward?
Sure. And on page 5, this is just the last 6 months of the year for broken out in fire and police. And then all of the information on pages 6 through 61 are there to back up. It's the detail for all of these numbers. And we put them in order as they appear on this report, just for ease. I tried to make it as detailed and even adding machine tapes on there, showing the addition, because I was trying to make it so you guys didn't have to do any work. I don't know if anybody has any questions about anything from pages 5 to 61. Although I guess we kind of still talked about a little bit of it.
I'm not seeing any hands raised, Sheila. So if you want, we can.
Okay. And on page 62 is the annual budget for this new year that began on April 1st. And you can see that we're expecting to get a little bit more sales tax revenue this year on page 6. Yes. And the city is welcoming Chewy to Southview Commerce Center. We anticipate that they're going to be opening this year, the end of the summer. And so that was the real reason that our sales tax revenue is expected to be increased over last year. And then you can see that we have some wages and benefits above the fiscal year 2019 base included in the fire numbers are actually 3 new firefighters, EMTs, or firefighter paramedics, if we're lucky enough to be able to hire paramedics right off the bat. And then we also added another position to the police, a detective. Then we have some medic training. So we're working really hard to get people, our EMTs, and we're paying for their training to become paramedics. That helps the fire department a lot. And then, like I said, we're paying for our recruits because it has been so difficult to hire officers. We are paying to put them through the academy and get them certified so that they can serve as our officers. This year, we're planning on purchasing a lot of equipment for the fire department, equipment for a new fire engine and a new engine that they're going to get, ambulance remounts, portable radios, nozzles, Paratech airbags, a lot of different things that Chief Sapp would probably be the best to answer if you have any questions on any of those. I would like to note that we're anticipating that the general fund there's not going to be enough money to cover all of the items that have been approved. The public safety sales tax revenue will not be able to cover all of the items that the council approved the fire department to purchase in this current year's budget. So the general fund is planning on paying for about $310,000 of those expenses. And then on the police side, they're also getting equipment, laptop computers for their patrol vehicles and other computer equipment, car-mounted license plate reader, AEDs for their cars, computer equipment, and then CERT helmets and patrol cars. I don't know if anyone has any questions about any of that.
Not seeing any raised hands, but let's give it a minute. I see Martha.
Sheila, on page 3, it's got an anticipated amount that's going to be carried over by fire and police. And on page 62, it shows cash carryover that's different.
Yes.
What is that?
So the difference is going to be, so the budget was based on estimates before the year was ended. The council will actually do a cash carryover true-up ordinance to adjust those numbers to the actual numbers at the end of May. But right now, the budget was adopted using the estimates because the budget had to be adopted before the end of the year. So those numbers will end up reflecting, the cash carryover will end up reflecting the actual numbers.
So
They just aren't.
We'll get the true amount after the May.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's what I thought. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question.
Yes.
I think it's great that have this sales tax and that we're able to do all of this, but from a citizen's point, because I know there will be a report that's going to have to be published. And from a citizen's point, one of the questions, not me as a citizen, because of being on this committee, is going to be, when is all the spending going, for all of this new equipment and stuff going to be caught up? And so for both of the chiefs that are here, looking into the future, what do you see as spending on a lot of these items? Is it going to slow down in the future, or are we going to continue to see these big expenditures?
No, it won't. I mean, it won't slow down. Much like anybody's expenses at home, everything we do goes up. And so on the fire side of it, you've got part of that is the salaries and wages, which will always go up. And then,
I'm not talking about salaries and wages. I'm talking about big equipment items.
Yeah, on those capital type items, we have a replacement program. And so when we get vehicles or equipment, they have an expected life expectancy. And, I wish I could get them to last forever, but we can't. And so those are always going to be a continuous ongoing cost. Now they fluctuate. You can see this year's a lot different than last year.
Mm-hmm.
This is a very good year for us, but we had some pretty big needs. And so you don't expect to see, $1.1 million every time, but that's partly because, for instance, the next time we need to replace a ladder truck, we don't replace those quite as often because that's, compared to 680,000 you see there now for a fire engine, you're looking at, nearly $1.5 million for a ladder truck. So it takes a little bit longer. You got to kind of reserve those funds. And so that's kind of the way we see it rolling forward, is trying to set those parameters, because in the past, sometimes it was fighting tooth and nail, honestly, and then keeping things together with baling wire and duct tape, basically. And so this is a real, it's a benefit by far to be able to give a service that has equipment that's trustworthy.
Okay, I'm just looking at it from a citizen's point and knowing that other citizens are going to ask questions and they don't probably understand from an accounting point of view when you see numbers like this on paper and don't understand, what the fire department does and what the police department does. And, they'll reach out and they'll probably ask some dumb questions.
You
Yeah.
just have to be able to, yeah, I get it when they don't, if they can't hear it firsthand.
Right, exactly. Thank you.
Dan?
If I can kind of piggyback off what Caroline was saying, and it kind of goes the opposite way, actually, is like Chief Sapp said, and I'm sure the police chief could back that up, is these large capital purchases are going to continue to be needed down the road, whether it's, replacing an engine every 5 to 8, 10 years, ladder truck every 8 to 12, ambulance remounts probably every 3 to 5. And then police vehicles, I'm sure, as the miles keep going up. But eventually these salaries, I mean, just with, regular wage increases and cost of living raises, as every time we increase the wages, that eats into what's left, because we have this baseline salary that we're starting back from. And I mean, I think the baseline's from 19 or whenever we did this, 19 base. So come 2028, 2029, when we're 10 years into this and people have just been getting normal cost of living raises most years, as long as an economic disaster doesn't happen, of course. Eventually the money left over for all of these capital purchases is going to be shrinking every year and getting less and less and less. And eventually this whole public safety sales tax thing is just going to go to pay for the salaries and benefits above the base 19. And I know that's not something we can change here in this committee, maybe even, but eventually I think we need to look personally at kind of pushing some of those salaries back to the general fund and then keeping this public safety sales tax dedicated specifically to training and capital purchases and new fire stations, new police equipment. So I think long-term, we might want to try and, as this committee, come up with some kind of strategy to do that. That's just kind of my opinion. Take it or leave it. So thank you.
I'm not seeing any other hands, thoughts, comments. I don't see anything else. Sheila, anything else?
I do want to remind the committee, and maybe you guys want to discuss it now, just of the requirement in the in the resolution that created this oversight committee, that you're required to do a written public status report. It says in the resolution that it needs to be made by the committee annually. I do know that there was one made at after the semi-annual report, but you guys might want to talk about if you want to do one to report what happened this year, how you would like to go about doing that. If city staff could, if you need city staff help, what help would you like? We'd be happy to assist you in any way. But that's really for you guys to decide if you would like to discuss that now.
I think it'd be a good idea to do a report after every time we meet, because particularly in this last few months, it's been kind of high anxiety around here with the city funds. And I think we should be as transparent as we possibly can be. And I know these numbers are out there, but I personally think that we should be doing a report after every time.
Are you volunteering, Jane?
I'm leaving for Colorado, and I'll be gone for a week, so I could do it after I get back from that. I could do that.
When does that have to be done by, Sheila?
It doesn't state, it just says that you must do one annually. It doesn't say when it has to be done by.
And that's going to be published in the North Star Herald and on Facebook, isn't it?
It's all of those details are up to the committee, and the city can help facilitate in any way that you need us to. And so, yes, we can do that.
So the
Jane?
last time when you decided that you wanted to do that you would do the status report, you took some time, everybody put their thoughts together. I think, Carolyn, you took the lead on that one at that time.
Yeah,
And then
I
everyone
wasn't,
got, pardon me?
I was going to say I wasn't volunteering again this
No,
year.
but I'm just, yeah, for the background. So, and then you reconvened to discuss those comments.
Mhm.
And so I didn't know if you wanted to follow that same outline or you felt comfortable or what. Those just in sharing what happened before.
Yeah,
Jane?
everybody mailed their comments to me, and I put together a report and then emailed them back to everybody. Jane, is that satisfactory with you for everybody to put their comments together and email them to you?
Sure. Yeah, that's fine. And then I can just get them put together when I get back.
Hey, real quick, Jane, I like the suggestion to do it after each meeting. I think contextualizing the data is really helpful, and I'd be happy to help you putting together the report when you get back. Just holler at me. I'll get my thoughts over too, and I'll learn a
Okay.
little bit. doing it
Okay,
with you.
perfect. Perfect.
That sounds good to me, if it is with everybody else. I do have one quick question, and it doesn't really pertain, but it does pertain. I've seen several people posting on Facebook asking about the Belton Emergency Management Agency. And I just would like to be able to address people. They think some of this money should be going to the Emergency Management Agency, that when we voted for this back in 2018, that money was supposed to be allocated from not just to go to the fire and police station, but they were supposed to get some of this money. That was never allocated to go to BEMA. Am I correct?
The city stated all along that the money was going to go to fire and police. The ballot language does allow for the money to be used for emergency management, but the city said we are going to fund the need is currently in fire and police. And
Okay.
so that is where, like, if you approve this sales tax, this is where this money is going to go. And the city was very specific about that. And then also in the fire union contract, there is an appendix that talks about the public safety sales tax. And in that contract that was approved by city council, it states that it will be divided 50% to fire, 50% to police.
Okay, because I see people, and they're probably from BEMA, saying, we haven't gotten a penny of this money. And I'm thinking, well, you shouldn't be getting the money. That it was. Go
If
ahead.
for some reason we got 100 Chewies in the community and we had more sales tax revenue than we would think, then if the contract was changed with the fire union, and if council decided to appropriate some of those funds to emergency management by the ballot language, that would be allowed.
Okay, thank you.
But that was not the city's intention at the beginning. It was always for fire and police. That's how it was stated to the voters and the community, and council entered into a contractual agreement to ensure that continued exactly as they promised.
Thank you.
Any other thoughts, questions, or comments?
I just would like to jump in on that. as the director of emergency management, if there were specific items that they were wondering about, I would like to talk to you offline and kind of find out about that, because there would be a budgetary process that we would put in for things for that part of the police department. And so I don't want you to go away thinking that we wouldn't address needs over there if we thought we needed something.
Yes, and the general fund is funding the general fund is 100% funding the emergency management budget. That budget is just not being, public safety sales tax money is not being used to supplement that budget.
Okay. So Jane, have a wonderful vacation. Martha has something?
Yes, I just want to make sure I understand. What kind of comments does Jane want us to send her?
Well, I mean, I guess, I don't know. I would think that we would just need a, kind of a summary of what questions we had, and if, and I don't know. I mean,
Is
I'm not
this
sure
for the
Carolyn
final
would-
report?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, can we follow the same item, like the report that was submitted last year in April? Can we follow that form to complete the final report?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
We usually just use Sheila's numbers that she presented to us, the summary sheet, and then anything that we noticed from here. Anybody that anything has, if we want to bring anything to the attention that we feel like the citizens need to know, submit those to Jane, and then she just compiles just a one-page summary
Okay.
report that goes with it. Is all it is. It's really pretty basic.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. Thank
Yeah.
you.
We'll just take turns doing it.
That means you're up next, Martha.
My term's up. Unless I get reinstated.
Well, didn't you come on the same time that Jane and I did?
I came in on the original committee, yes.
Okay, well,
Okay, it sounds like you guys have a plan. Anything else? Okay.
Thank
Then,
you.
I guess our next meeting will probably be in October. Stephanie Harris, our assistant finance director, who is sending you guys out your reports and compiling all this information for us. So you'll continue seeing emails from her, and please don't hesitate at all to reach out to her or to myself if you have any questions or need any additional information. Okay.
Do we need to set up a date in October?
I think, Andrea, what do you think?
Hi there. We're welcome to set up a date if you'd like to look at your calendars now in October. Otherwise, I'd be happy to contact y'all from, let's say, September, and we can see what works with your calendars.
We've had this date set up since October for today. I don't know what everybody else's thoughts are.
If we wanted to stay consistent with the last Wednesday, we could say October 27th at 2 p.m.
That's good for me.
Me too.
Okay, I will put it down and send everyone an email also. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, thanks.